Unfortunately, the Braves could not sweep the doubleheader, but there were a couple of good things. Now, the first good thing that we can talk about is Jarred Kelenic, and he was really good for both games. I mean, when you talk about who's been the best offensive player over the last 2-3 weeks, it hasn't been Marcell Ozuna. It hasn't been. I mean, maybe you could throw Austin Riley in there. I mean, he's been really good for the last week or so, but the last 3 weeks, it's been Jarred Kelenic, and yesterday he did it against lefties. I think that's the thing that we're all watching closely. Can he be an everyday player? Can he hit against lefties? And ever since he's been asked to hit against lefties, I mean, I don't know what his OPS is. I'm sure I could go look it up against left-handed pitching since he started playing every day. But at least it seems like he's hitting pretty damn well. I mean, he has a homer yesterday. I think he had 7 hits yesterday in 2 games. I mean, like he certainly looks like a guy, and I keep like saying maybe regression comes. I don't want it to come. Like I don't want to see it, but I mean, he's playing confidently. He's been the Braves' best offensive player over the last several weeks, and all you got to do is keep throwing him out there, hope he keeps staying hot, and hope he can take over that left fielder's role, not just for this year, but years to come.
Oh, yeah. I mean, ideally, this guy's a superstar, and we have, obviously, I'm just assuming Ronald Acuna Jr. is coming back, big assumption, but Michael Harris, Jarred Kelenic, and Ronald Acuna Jr. would be one of the most dynamic outfields in baseball, up there with the Yankees. And Jarred Kelenic is proving a lot of people wrong right now, including a lot of people in New York and in Seattle. And I don't think anybody in Atlanta should be too surprised. I really don't. I mean, obviously he's not going to be a 1,000+ OPS guy, but his even through a couple of slumps this season, his average has always been pretty good, which is unusual for his profile. He's been known as a slugger, kind of like a streaky hitter, but he can slug a little bit. That wasn't the case. He was hitting for average. The power just wasn't there. And in recent weeks, the power is showing through. And now that OPS is through the roof, since he's been in the leadoff role, he's got an OPS over 1,000. I think nobody should be surprised. This guy's a former number 6 overall pick. He's oozing with talent. The kid obviously loves the game, plays baseball the right way. Like that kid, he's a demon on the base pass. You see him in the outfield. He's working hard. I love watching him play baseball, and he's an incredible athlete. The guy is just ripped up. So nobody should be surprised that the Braves got their hands on this talented kid that nobody else could really figure out and are squeezing the most out of him. Now, obviously, I think, I'd be remiss. I hate when people go, he sucks. He's the worst player ever. The Braves are idiots, to this where he's like, oh, he could replace Ronald Acuna Jr. as a leadoff hitter. It's like, no, it's somewhere in the middle, you idiots. Like he's not going to be this good forever. But I do think that when regression comes, don't jump back to the other side of the fence where you're like, oh yeah, see, I told you, Jarred Kelenic. He's young. And in 2024, I tweeted it, and I'm going to continue to say it. I've been saying it on the show for a couple of weeks now that Jarred Kelenic has been a pleasant surprise this year. Nobody, it's good what he's doing. It's awesome. He's going to be even better next year. I guarantee it. A full year in this system, in the city, with the club. I can't even imagine what he's going to do in 2025 if he's doing this right now.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so. I believe that to be the case. That's kind of what I think most Braves fans were expecting, that it wasn't going to happen immediately. And I'm just thinking, has Jarred Kelenic arrived? Like, is this, I'm not going to say he's going to have, like you said, 1,000 OPS, but could he be a 900 OPS guy? I think the most exciting thing about Jarred Kelenic is because there's so much untapped potential and there's so much talent there that you really don't know like what you have. Like, could he regress? Could he go through a huge slump? Could this be who he is? Like, if he finds his confidence, I think the one thing that I will say that I've taken away from Jarred Kelenic is there were a lot of maturity questions when he came. You know, Seattle seemed to kind of have been tired of all the crap that was going on. The Mets, not so much. He was just got traded for Edwin Diaz, who turned out very good for the Mets, obviously. But there were a lot of maturity questions when he came to Atlanta. And I can tell you just from watching every single night, it seems like those are a thing of the past. I mean, it doesn't seem like they're I haven't seen one. All I've seen from that side of things, from an attitude side of things, from a hustle side of things, from a just, taking things in stride kind of things, which I thought were probably the biggest questions, because it certainly wasn't the talent, has been good. And he's gone through a slump and gotten out the other side, because he started out hot and then he went through a lengthy slump for about a month and now he's gotten hot again. And it's like, it seems like if he can put this together consistently, the sky, I hate the term "the sky's the limit," but
he's
the sky
athletic
is kind
enough
of the
to
limit.
say that about. Like he's like some guys, you can't say the sky is the limit because their athletic profile just that would be ridiculous to say. He is a freak. He is very, very athletic. Like Michael Harris, athletic. He's very athletic, and I think that's a great point. And credit to Jarred Kelenic for kind of taking that next step. Let's all remember the kid is still under, what is he, 24 years old or something like that? So credit Jarred Kelenic for obviously making those improvements mentally, the intangible aspect of the game. But let's also just call a spade, and that the Atlanta Braves have a foundation and an environment that cultivates positivity in this hard-working aspect where you never get too high, you never get too low. And the Seattle Mariners have a young group of very talented young players, but let's not compare the two. I don't want to disrespect the Mariners by any chance, but they're not on the Braves level when it comes to, the foundation where they can take a head case or they can take, a troubled person, not saying Jarred Kelenic is, and kind of squeeze the most out of him and give him an environment where he thrives. Yeah, I'm trying not to.
He's a troubled man.
He kicked a cooler. He kicked a cooler.
He came from a tough family.
Yeah, he kicked a cooler.
It was a real tough life for Jarred Kelenic growing up. He's had to battle demons.
It is a tough, and when you're playing for Seattle, it sometimes could be tough.
Well, when you're baseball is tough. I mean, when you talk about battling demons,
fail.
battling demons, I mean, it's a game of battling demons and figuring how to control them and to get all those emotions going in the right direction to affect your play positively. I mean, it's probably the number one key to success for every single player that arrives at the majors because it's impossible to hit the pitching. I mean, we see the numbers. It doesn't matter how good you are. It's almost impossible to sustain success except for the best of the best. So you're going to go through these lulls. It's about, remaining even keel. And everything about Jarred Kelenic to me impressive, but I think the most impressive aspect has been his maturity and the attitude side of things. We got to go to break. I do want to talk about my man, Bryce Elder, who did make his first start for Atlanta in quite some time yesterday in game 2.